In the world of traditional software, user experience design was often a matter of layout, clarity, and flow. It was about making buttons easier to find, processes smoother to complete, screens more intuitive to navigate. But when artificial intelligence entered the scene, the rules changed. Now, the UX designer is no longer just the curator of ease, they are the architect of understanding. In AI, the interface is not simply where interaction happens. It is where meaning is made. It is the place where a probabilistic system must become emotionally trustworthy, where invisible algorithms must become interpretable, and where uncertainty must be wrapped in reassurance. The AI UX designer is not just an artist of screens. They are the voice of clarity in a fog of intelligence. They are the ones who make sure the human stays at the center of the loop, not outside, not beneath, and certainly not ignored. They begin by making the invisible visible. AI models make predictions, generate content, assign risk, or suggest actions, and they often do so with breathtaking complexity. But to a user, all of that intelligence means nothing unless it can be seen, questioned, and believed. The AI UX designer creates the windows into these black boxes. They shape the way a confidence score is shown, how an explanation is surfaced, how alternatives are offered. They help people understand why the model said what it said, and what they can do with that information. They turn a model's output from a mystery into a moment of empowerment. And in the era of generative AI, where language is the interface, the AI UX designer becomes a shaper of conversation itself. Every prompt is a design choice. Every response is a chance to reinforce or erode trust. These designers craft not just screens, but dialogues. They anticipate misunderstandings, guide clarifications, design the fallback paths when the AI doesn't know, and in doing so, they protect the fragile relationship between curiosity and confidence. But it doesn't stop there. The AI UX designer becomes the guardian of explainability. Because when a doctor is making a decision based on an AI tool, or a customer is denied a loan by an algorithm, it is not enough to show a number. There must be a reason, a human-readable one. And the interface must deliver it with care. These designers co-create with compliance teams. They don't see responsible AI as a box to check, they see it as part of the design brief. Then comes the feedback loop, because in AI, learning never ends. But learning can't happen unless the human participates. And so the designer asks, how do we let users correct the system? How do we encourage feedback when the model fails? How do we allow people to raise concerns, suggest changes, or flag potential harms? Designing these touchpoints isn't decorative. It is foundational to how the model improves. It is where experience meets ethics, and usability meets evolution. Of course, things still go wrong. AI fails differently from traditional systems. It can hallucinate. It can show bias. It can misunderstand the context. So the AI UX designer becomes the one who designs for failure. Not just technical failure, emotional failure. They think about what the user feels when the model can't answer, or when the confidence is low, or when the results are disturbing. They design softness into the system, clarity into confusion, and humility into ambition. What sets these designers apart is their fluency across worlds. They speak the language of models, enough to collaborate deeply with data scientists and understand what can be exposed, explained, or improved. They speak the language of compliance, enough to translate legal obligations into design patterns that are elegant, not intrusive. And most of all, they speak the language of humans, with all our hopes, doubts, fears, and desire to be respected and understood. They don't just ask, can people use this? They ask, do people feel safe using this? Do they feel in control? Do they feel seen? In an AI initiative, they belong everywhere, at the beginning, mapping the emotional journey of the user. In the middle, defining what outputs matter and how they'll be presented. At the end, testing not just for satisfaction, but for trust, explainability, and emotional clarity. They are not an afterthought. They are not just a decorator of data. They are the difference between a model that works and a product that's welcomed. Between an AI tool that impresses and one that integrates into real lives. Because no matter how advanced the model, if the user doesn't understand it, doesn't trust it, or doesn't feel included in it, it won't matter. And so, the AI UX designer takes the hand of the user in one hand, the logic of the machine in the other, and designs the bridge where the two can meet, clearly, ethically, and with quiet confidence.